watch this?
How?
Ew,
How do you watch this?
Dude, I'm gonna pee my pants.
Hi, you're listening to How Do You Watch This, a movie review podcast where each week we recommend a movie in the genre we love, but they don't. My name is Megan, and I love romance.
My name is Demi, and I love horror.
And this week for Demi, I chose the movie The 100-Foot Journey, which always throws me off because I keep thinking since it's in Europe, it's set in France, it's the 100-Yard Journey, and I always want to say the 100-Yard Journey.
I was thinking that too. I've been wanting to say 100-Yard Journey.
Yeah.
And I felt so stupid. I was like, why is this movie called this? I had no idea why it was called this until after I watched it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, now I get it.
Do you know what the common thread is?
Oh, okay. There was only one thing I thought of.
Yes.
And it's that both movies feature a chef.
Yes, correct. You've got
Okay.
it.
I was like, there's no way. I was like, the dads are a little unhinged. I could not think of anything else. I'm like, if it's not a chef, I really do not know.
That was literally it. I watched The Shining and I was like, there are so many romances with cooking in it. All right, let's go. Easy peasy.
That's fair.
So
that's fair.
I went with that. And then I was going to give you this movie called No Reservations, which was a good
Okay.
one, but then this one popped up and I was like, ooh, this is a little bit more obscure. I mean, they're both a little obscure, but it felt like a fun.
Yeah.
one to
Yeah.
cover.
I don't know if I consider this romance.
Mhm.
There's definitely romance in it.
Yes.
But I guess I was expecting a little bit more.
Yes.
And
As I watched it, I was like, ooh, the undertones of romance are so mild. It's really
Yeah.
more about cooking, which is
yeah.
all right,
Which is
whatever.
fine.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the movie, but yeah, I was like, I'm like, there
Yeah.
wasn't that much or like there was romance, but I guess it wasn't the driving force or
Right.
the main kind of idea.
Yes.
But
It wasn't
fine.
hugely romantic, which maybe maybe this episode will get more listeners because of it. But who knows?
No, but there were two romance subplots which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
So when you brought enemies to lovers, I was like, where is it? And then I'm like, oh wait, okay, I like this. So the genre would be comedy, drama, and romance. I
Right.
think are
Yeah, when I Googled it, it did say comedy romance, but I would say
That's what I saw
comedy
too,
drama
yeah.
was more apt.
Mhm. Yeah. The director is Lasse Hallström, the Swedish name.
And I don't know if you
and I
saw,
was-
but in the end credits, it said Steven Spielberg was a producer, which surprised me.
I did see him, and there was another big director that also produced it, and it's based on a book, which I'm sure you're
Yes.
gonna bring up. And I was wondering, I'm like, okay, the director's white, so the author of the book has to be like Indian or from India. No, it's also a white
Right.
person. I was like, really?
Right. Which I think that it is the person who wrote it was someone who writes for Forbes regularly. So I'm assuming
Hmm.
he was someone who did a lot of research and well researched in that aspect
Yeah.
of it.
Because I was gonna
But-
say it seemed very authentic
Yeah.
and real, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't.
Right. I feel the same way where to me from
Right.
my experiences, I was like, oh, this seems like it's an accurate representation, but I could be so off base.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I have.
if we're super wrong on our commentary and this is an incredibly tone deaf movie, please let us know so that we can delete this episode from all history and no one ever talks about it again. Because that would be really upsetting.
That would be. It was released 2014, so I feel like that's fairly good year. If it was released like early 2000s, I'd be a little more concerned, but
Yeah.
I think it's new enough that it's a pretty well respected depiction
Yeah.
of their culture and
Yeah.
a family. So.
Yeah. I feel like it was decently, representative.
Yeah.
And even if it's not, even if let's say it's only representative of this one family and not about like,
Yeah.
The majority of things, I think that
Mhm.
the writing of the family dynamics was really interesting and fun. And
Mhm.
there's a lot that I want to talk about within that.
Okay. I will go through my snapshot. So, okay, here we go. So, we start
Get
off
yourself
where
ready.
we meet the main character named Hassan Kadam, and they are played by Manish Dayal. Um, and he is very cute. I've never seen him in
Yes,
anything.
I looked him up, like his films, and he's not in a. I don't think he's in anything I've really watched before. Or that's not true. He's in things I've seen as small characters, nothing
Right.
as a leading role.
Yeah. So he's the main character in this movie, and he's always had this special talent for with food and cuisine, even as a child. And as he got older, he would train to replace his mother as head cook of their family restaurant in Mumbai. And then one night, a mob attacks and burns down their restaurant after a disputed election, and his mother dies in the fire, which is a haunting image.
Dude, it's
You
horrible.
literally see
It is.
her in the fire
Yeah.
burning, and I'm
Not
like, what am
great.
I watching? A horror? Like, I felt traumatized watching that. I'm like, I would never recover
Yeah.
seeing my mother burn
No.
alive.
Mm-mm.
Anyway,
Correct.
that's awful. So they are now seeking asylum. They go to Europe. The Kadam family first settle in London, but they eventually head towards mainland Europe because London is whack. And they're driving they're near Saint Antonin in France, and the brakes on their van just fail and
Mhm.
they crash. Marguerite, a local woman, passes by and helps tow the van to town.
And
She invites the family
is
in.
so gorgeous.
She's like a doll. She's so freaking cute.
It's ridiculous. It's just giving major French vibes with her little bob, which is a little bit
I was gonna say
curly.
she's like the most French looking woman
Yes.
ever.
Yes. I was like, I want to be you. I want to emulate you in every way. Adorable.
Yeah, she's super cute.
And she's so much nicer than I ever would be to a bunch of strangers.
Right. She's so kind. She's so
Yes.
kind. And she's played by Charlotte Le Bon. I also checked and I didn't really see a
No.
lot of
No, not
big stuff
familiar
from
with a lot
her.
of her stuff.
Anyway, she invites him to the apartment while they deal with an auto repair shop and finding a hotel for the night. And she treats them to a tray of the most delicious looking food she
Yes.
made using
Yes.
fresh local ingredients.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
And
That is
Travis,
so nice of you.
when it comes out, Travis is like, she made that up really fast. I was like, okay.
So I'm like, what was this in your fridge?
Yes.
But it was fresh tomato and cheese, and I was like, oh my god.
Yes.
And of course the food is
Again,
family's just eating this food up.
nicer than I would be. I have all this fresh produce.
Yes.
I would be like, okay, here's a tomato. I think I'm just a
Right.
really mean person. But
If I don't know, if I had a bunch of stuff laying around, yeah, I'd give them food, but this was just gourmet. But
it
of
was
course,
good stuff.
knowing her occupation,
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense. But anyway, she's very nice. She helps them out. The next morning, Hassan follows his father, Abu, who's played by Puri, who is a very prominent Indian actor.
Mhm.
He was very famous in the 70s, so he's probably very recognizable to people who've seen a lot of Hindi movies. But they both go to an abandoned property that they passed the night before. A restaurant had been there, but it failed because the French restaurant across the street called the Weeping Willow in English. I will not say the
Wait,
French.
let me see let me see what it's called, because I can put my 4 years of French to use.
Oh, you took French?
I
Okay,
did
yeah.
take French. So
Do it
we'll
because
see if
I
can do it.
literally cannot
really
say French words.
You
It
can't.
it's just the pronunciation is so different from Spanish. It really fucks me up.
That's fair.
the
I
name here
believe
on it.
that I believe that it's pronounced this way, and I could be completely wrong. But les sols pleurs.
I think that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. But I could be again butchering French right there. That's just what I think pronounced.
It sounds correct. From this moment onward, I will call it the French restaurant, though. So I'm
Fair
so
enough.
sorry.
Fair enough.
So this upscale French restaurant with a 1 Michelin star is right across the street, 100 feet away. Hence
Mhm.
the title of the movie. Ooh,
Ruby would like to agree with you that is in fact
that is correct.
what it is called.
Abu buys the land anyway, as he is confident the Indian food Hassan will cook for their restaurant will attract customers. So it was a ballsy move, but it was a very nice restaurant. or building, and you know, when you got it, you got it.
Yes.
So they named the restaurant Maison Mumbai, and the Kadam family renovate the
Maison.
prop. Maison? Oh,
It's okay.
is that a French thing too?
Yeah, it's like House
Oh,
Mumbai. It means House Mumbai. Or
that's why
Mumbai House.
I can't read French.
Yeah, it's okay.
One day, Madame Mallory, who's played by Helen Mirren,
Hmm?
the owner of the French restaurant, visits and asks to see their menu. And this whole time, she's very snobby
Yes.
and is just not a fan of them moving in, and probably not a fan of just them in general. Hassan gives her the menu to look at in case she wishes to dine with them. And then the day of their grand opening, they learned that she bought all the ingredients, which made me so mad,
Oh, I
at the local
know. I
market. It was
know.
crazy. So at this point, a war of sabotage and complaints to the mayor of the village erupts between Abu and Mallory. They're just going back and forth over just dumb things to try and get complaints with each other.
Yeah.
While this is going on, Hassan asks Marguerite, who we find out is a sous chef at the French restaurant, to help him learn more about French cooking. And they start to kind of develop feelings for each other and act all cute. The war, meanwhile,
Yes.
between the restaurants peaks on Bastille Day, when one of Mallory's chefs, Jean-Pierre, and two others spray paint La France au Français, which translates to France to the French, which I believe is part of a revolutionary song.
Mhm.
There's
Guess-
meaning behind
yeah.
it.
Because they make in the next scene they continued the lines to the song.
Yeah. Yeah. On the outer wall,
You
they spray paint
forgot
that on
you
the outer wall.
So I think
Mhm.
you left this out on purpose. Not on purpose, but just because there's so much detail that goes into it.
Mhm.
But Hassan is just such a sweet boy and really wants to, create peace between them. And so
Mhm.
as the war is going on, essentially the dad retaliates and buys out all the ingredients for a special dish for the minister of France who's coming to
Yeah.
eat, and always eats pigeon at their restaurant. So
Mhm.
Hassan, in an act of kindness, makes the dish using the pigeon and delivers it to them. And Madame Mallory takes a bite of it and immediately throws it in the garbage as if it's trash. But
Yeah.
then you see her go outside and have this regretful moment where she threw away what is clearly a very, very delicious meal out of
Yeah.
anger and
Right.
fear.
Bite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
spite.
Exactly. So this stuff is spray painted on the outer wall of the restaurant, the Mumbai restaurant, and they pretty much firebomb the eating area, which is so traumatizing. Imagine going through a fucking fire again.
Right.
And Hassan catches them in the act and scares them off, but then his hands get burned. And I was
Mhm.
like, at this point, fuming. I'm like, this movie's just make me more mad than anything.
Yeah.
I'm so upset. And his freaking poor hands are wrapped
Oh my
up.
God.
And I really thought, I was like, oh my God, he's not going to recover. I thought maybe that was the end of it. I'm like, oh my God,
Dude.
it's going to be a Ratatouille situation. And he's going to need someone else to just help him.
Yes.
So fucking awful. So Mallory, figuring out who is responsible, dismisses Jean-Pierre and personally
her head
scrubs the
chef?
graffiti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her head chef that was
Yeah.
basically behind
it's a-
everything.
Right. And it's a big deal to work at a Michelin star because she's trying to get that second star. So being fired from this is really, really awful for him, but he's an awful person. So we don't care.
Nope.
So as she's cleaning the graffiti off, Hassan offers her to, well, first, Abu, the father, kind of sees what she's doing,
Appa.
offers her an umbrella. Yeah.
Who I
Offers her
didn't
an
even
umbrella.
realize what his name was Abu because literally the entire time he's just called Papa.
Papa, yeah. And then Hassan goes outside and offers to make her an omelet, which is how Marguerite said Mallory interviews potential chefs. So, but his hands are bandaged, so he pretty much asks Mallory to cook it for him while he instructs her and pretty much tells her what to put in the omelet and all this stuff. So he's kind of making it. And she is so impressed by the result that she invites him to work at the French restaurant so he can get more classically French cuisine training to supplement his natural abilities. The father is initially against it, but he ultimately allows Hassan to go after seeing how stubborn Mallory is and how determined she is to have him work for her because she knows he's got the potential and she can kind of help him get further. So Marguerite finds out through Hassan and then accuses him of using her to help him get his new position, which I felt like this came a little out of nowhere,
Yes.
but I kind of understand. We can talk more about that later, but I was like, whoa, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
So at this point, they're both competing for Mallory's approval in the kitchen, and Hassan outshines Marguerite and his cooking, which pretty much evolves into this cool French Indian fusion,
Hmm.
and it results in the restaurant getting a second Michelin star, which is huge. So the award gets him national attention, and he ends up accepting a job at this fancy Parisian molecular cuisine restaurant, which sounds like a place only losers go. It's really, I was like so annoyed hearing about it. I'm
Mm.
like, oh, the whole idea of just, I love good food,
Yeah.
but the whole idea of people being like, oh, it
It's
brings memories, or it's just like the right taste, or people that have the weird taste buds, it's just so interesting.
I feel like food, like gastronomy, that type of thing,
Yeah.
is really giving finance bro who has a lot of money and is trying
Right.
to impress a girl. And
Yeah.
and
I'm like, this can't be really enjoyable, right? Because it's just like you get this little portion
Right.
of
freeze
kind of like
dried.
bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's like, I guess, it has a unique taste in it. I don't know. It makes you feel a certain way.
Yeah. If someone put it in front of me, would I eat it? Yes, obviously.
Yeah, I'll try it.
I would want to. But if it's between that and, because that's a place with 2 Michelin stars. If it's between that and
Yeah.
Maison Mumbai, I'm going to Maison Mumbai. That's
Right. I'm going to go to a family owned restaurant where
right.
I'm going to get a shit ton of freaking good ass food
Yes.
for way cheaper. Yeah, I'm definitely doing that.
Right. Like,
So,
as I was watching this, part of me was curious and I was like, I kind of want to go to a Michelin star restaurant and try it.
Mm.
But at the same time, I've had so much good food that doesn't come along with that. And I don't,
right.
what does that
Yeah,
really even mean?
I don't know.
I know it's a
the
big
fanciest
deal, but
the fanciest I've gone to is a restaurant where the menu changes every day.
yeah.
So I forgot what it was called, but it was Jim Thorpe.
Right.
And
It's
it was
like
very good.
seasonally based, whatever's fresh. And
Yeah, it was very good, but it's not enough for me to be like, oh, I need more. I
Yeah.
need Michelin.
right.
But I don't know. I guess if you've never tried it, you just don't know.
Right.
So
Maybe it's a
maybe
world
we're missing
that
out.
Yeah. As-
We're the idiots.
Right. As I'm watching it, I'm like, what can be all that different between all the places that commit?
What could be? I don't know.
I mean, how much better can chicken get?
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Especially a Michelin star restaurant I know Paris is the food place.
Right.
But French food, if you compare it to Indian food, I'm going Indian food,
Yeah.
but
Yes. Agreed. I was thinking that the whole time too, because the fact that Hassan is like, oh, I want to learn more classical food.
yeah.
Dude, your food is already
It's like, why?
So
Indian
good.
food fucking slaps. You have
Yeah.
all the spices. It's so good. You don't need
And
the
when-
classical training.
Yes, there's this argument between Papa and Madame Mallory where
Mhm.
she's talking about the class of French food, and he's like,
Yeah.
"You all just take your seasoning and you put just a sprinkle. Why would you
Yeah.
only want a little sprinkle when you can have the whole thing?" And I was like, "Yes,
It's true. It is so true. Yeah. No, I love their arguments because she would say things and other people would say things and it is kind of offensive. It's like, what do you mean classic? What do you mean? It just makes it seem like, oh, their food's better,
superior
more
simply because it's
Yeah.
French."
right.
And he makes a lot of good points where he's saying things like the French don't like Indian food because they are not familiar with Indian food yet. They just haven't had
Right.
it, and once they have it, they'll like it, which is so true. Imagine just
Yeah.
only eating that food your whole life. That's so
Yeah.
boring.
Right. And then, with Hassan, he's moving up because he's adding his own spice and his own flavor to it. And it's like,
I see what you
yeah.
did there.
But it's true. He's making it a little different, and I think
Yeah.
that's what makes it cool. And it's like, ooh, this tastes a little. I like this little spice.
yes.
So a little different. So Anyway, we
Yeah,
can talk more about.
yeah, I know. Went on a side rant.
So while Hassan is away at this fancy new restaurant, Abu and Mallory begin seeing each other socially. And he at one point says, "It feels like having a girlfriend." And they end up actually dating, which I was like, oh my God, like, was not expecting that. But I approve.
Yes.
So in Paris, Hassan's style quickly draws attention. And then there's speculation that he might bring his new restaurant a third Michelin star, which is fucking crazy.
Right.
Because according to Marguerite, 3 stars are for the gods.
Yeah.
Over time, however, he becomes increasingly lonely and distracted by thoughts of his family. He's pretty much just by himself in Paris this whole time. And one night after the Parisian restaurant is closed, Hassan smells the Indian food that one of the sous chefs brought from home. And the sous chef invites Hassan to join him, and Hassan is brought to tears by the memories of the food that the food unlocks. And I thought that was so sweet. And I was like, oh, reminds him of home. And they're talking about the different spices that were used. And the guy's like, my wife's a way better cook than I am. And it was just a really nice moment. So then soon after, Hassan takes a train back to St. Antonin and goes directly to Marguerite's home. He tells her that he has a business proposition for her. They made up, by the way.
Yeah.
Like I said, we'll talk more about the relationship.
Yeah.
It's kind of a confusing one. But he has a business proposition for her, and he asks her to help him cook a dish he has not made for a long time. They prepare it in the kitchen of the original Fancy French restaurant. And when the Kadams and some special guests arrive for dinner, everyone's surprised to see Hassan there, cooking the dinner alongside Marguerite. And then Madame Mallory announces that she's giving him control of her restaurant. And he announces that he's moving back to the village to run it with Marguerite. Hassan's phone rings, but he doesn't answer it. The answer to call that will reveal whether the restaurant in Paris received the 3rd Michelin star under his time as chef de cuisine, saying that he will instead earn a star here with his friends and family. And then the group carries their meals across the road to eat at the Maison, Mumbai.
Oh, amazing.
And that is the movie.
It is. So.
I guess we can first talk about the relationships.
Okay.
So Marguerite and Hassan have these little meetups here and there, and she gives him books about French cuisine, and they have this back and forth.
He cooks for
and then
her to have her try it out, and she's very impressed and immediately knows that he's got what it takes.
Right, because she was saying that she pretty much started at age 12 trying to perfect these, I guess, 5 sauces that are just the base for
all of French cuisine.
Yeah, and so he, in one night, made them all.
Yeah.
And I guess they were just better than anything she's tasted, which I think for her was a little like, oh, well, he's got this talent. And I think from there, she was just feeling a little impressed, but also a little insecure because she's working as a sous chef. She's trying to be head chef. And then when she finds out he is joining the restaurant, she thinks that he took advantage of her to work there, which is not, of course, his intention. And so I think seeing it from his side of view, I wasn't taking into account her side because I was like, why is she acting all weird? This is great. This is a great moment. And she's acting all jealous. But then I'm seeing it from her side. You know, she's working hard to become head chef, and it is a random guy. It's just like, oh, yeah, I'm making this stuff overnight. And I'm going to work at this restaurant. I'm probably going to be head chef before you. Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Yeah. Because it's that age-old, thing where some people have to work really, really hard to get the success that they deserve, and then some people have to just kind of fall into their laps in ways of just because they have a natural talent for it. And I shouldn't say fall into their laps because he did have to work hard, so he did a lot of stuff, but it came very easily for him, and he quickly transitioned from one type of food to another. And I'm sure that would be very frustrating, and I know that I would have been jealous and kind of feel sort of insecure about your own capabilities when someone who is naturally gifted is rising through the ranks so quickly when you've been putting in all this time and effort and energy.
Exactly.
And
And, oh, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say that when they basically, what happens is, first of all, I actually laughed out loud. He is using his little mitted hands to pick up a
Yes.
stone to throw it at her window and misses and hits some old man's window.
Yes.
That was so funny to me. And then
Well, that, and then when he's puts his hands around her face.
yes,
And
with
it's
his
just
little
the mittens.
it was so good.
Oh, boy.
I felt so bad for him. And I just felt like there was this little bit of tension between them where essentially they're kind of arguing and fighting, and you see them get kind of close to each other, and I just wanted them to lean a little more into that tension. Like, you're so close. You're so close. And
Yeah.
for me, this probably would have taken it more into the romance element
Right.
and less into the drama, but I was like, I just wanted more of the tension.
They could have, yeah, they definitely could have done more romance. If it was more focused on those two,
Mhm.
it definitely would have been a lot more romance heavy because they could have played a lot with that whole dynamic. But yeah, I was a little thrown off by that, but I get it.
Yeah.
There's always going to be someone better than you.
Yeah.
And other people are always going to think you're better than them. Like, it's just like a constant cycle. So
Yeah.
once you learn that and accept that, then
Yeah.
it makes life easier. But it doesn't mean you're a bad chef because Hassan even admits later, this dish he's been trying to recreate, it just doesn't taste the same as when he made it with her. So, she's still a
Yes.
great chef. But I'm gonna say about them. So yeah, they have this weird conflict, and then when they get the Michelin star, the 2 Michelin stars, they kind of make up, and then he leaves, and then he comes back. So I think they had this chemistry, this for each other,
Yeah.
but you know, there was that weird tension, like you said. So
Yeah.
but anyway, and then the romance between Madame Mallory and Papa or Abu was just so funny, and I really was just like, oh, no way, are they gonna get together? But then I saw that Hassan and Marguerite had this enemies to lover type of thing. Oh, maybe not. But then no, they did get together.
Yeah.
So
I love that little bit. And I think they did a really good job of building up the enemies to lovers element.
yeah, they
with
really
them,
did.
because they
Yeah.
really she starts off being really horrible and is using
She is.
yes, she's
Yeah.
using phrases like "you people."
Yeah.
She comes over to their restaurant and turns off their music and tells them that they need to tone down their flavors and their music if they're gonna make
Yeah.
it in France. And then the dad is reciprocating in this way where he just turns the music up louder and is dancing.
Right.
And the dad has this charisma where he goes out into the street and
Oh,
it's just
yeah,
like
I was gonna
basically
bring that up.
forcing people into the restaurant. I loved that. I thought it was
But he,
so
like,
funny.
He also put on attire
Yeah.
from India and comes out and it makes his poor daughter put on a
Oh
sari
my
and was like,
God.
come on. Just wave, just smile and say hi, be pretty. And she just does not want to do it. I just thought it was so funny.
Oh.
A couple came with their dog. He's like, oh, so cute. What's their name? And he's like, oh, I'll go feed her. Come on, let's go feed
Right?
her.
He just
And
like
they-
picks up the dog and walks
Yeah.
into the restaurant. I was like,
He's just taking
yeah.
people from that were, I guess, intentionally going to go to the French restaurant to their own restaurant. But
it genuinely,
is.
that would have won me over so well.
Yeah.
I
for sure.
loved it. It was so funny.
No, he is so funny, and he's a character that's very stubborn and wants to get what he wants,
Mhm.
and he has the best intentions, but he's definitely can be a little much.
Yeah.
Like when he was Madame Mallory was naming what she would pay Hassan, he was like, oh, 200 a week, you could do 800 a week. He's worth that. And she's like, are you crazy? And he's just always hustling.
Yeah.
And one quote he said that I really liked was, just because I'm,
Thrifty.
because
He said,
yeah,
oh,
he
yeah,
said
yeah.
he's not cheap, he's thrifty,
Mhm.
because she was making a comment on how he was trying to get a discount on a hotel
Yeah.
they stayed at, But meanwhile, he's trying to ask for the price of this restaurant.
Right.
And he's like, just because I asked for a discount, it means I'm thrifty. I'm not
Right.
cheap. I'm not
Right.
poor.
Right. Yeah. I really liked that statement because it's very true, and there's a reason why
Mhm.
he has enough money, and it's because he's being, smart. And
Yeah, he's smart with his money, and he's knows what places are worth and what his son is worth. So
yeah.
I get it. But yeah, Hassam's just losing his mind.
Yeah.
All of them were losing their
Yes.
minds
Yes.
with
A
him.
lot. The older brother, I think it's an older brother, but
Yeah.
he loses his cool with the dad quite a few times, and the dad is very steadfast. He is set in his ways. He's not going to change it. And
Oh yeah.
everyone was telling him, don't buy this restaurant, don't buy this restaurant, whatever. And
Because a Michelin
Yeah.
star restaurant was across the street, which is a very fair
right.
reason.
But the dad is convinced, and he also, and I really love the way he does this. He talks about the mom in the present tense, and basically
Yeah.
talks about how he's communicating with her, and that she is telling him this is what to do. His
Yeah.
brakes broke for a reason, and
Yep.
they need to stay there, and this is what needs to happen. And so I really liked the way they kept the mother's memory alive in that, and kept her as
Yeah.
this fixture in their life.
Yeah. Like I said, I was like distraught seeing her literally burn. I'm like, oh my god.
Right.
Like, that's
Right.
so awful.
So
And then the
horrible.
second fire, I was like, this is too much.
Yeah.
This is too much for me. I can't. Thank God his hands healed. I really thought he
Genuinely.
was fucked up.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, this is all he wants to do.
Yeah.
All he wants to do is be a chef.
And then
And it's just getting taken away from him because
Yeah.
freaking racist.
that,
Like,
and
cool.
also the fact that, I mean, maybe this happened in the book. I don't know, but that dude definitely should have gotten arrested. Like,
Yes.
you're trying to.
Like,
That's
what?
arson. That's
You
ridiculous.
could have killed. You could
Yes.
have killed that family.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
But whatever, I guess. I was trying to see if there were any Michelin star restaurants in Philly. Of course there aren't, but
No. New York.
I was just curious.
because I was looking
Yeah.
into it too, but
I was curious. Because
get-
like, what's
take out
like?
a loan to go there.
I know. I was gonna say, what is the like minimum price for them? How much per plate? They probably wouldn't even have the pricing on here. They're like, if you're coming
Right,
here, you're
right.
spending money.
You know how much
Don't
it's
be
gonna-
cheap.
I saw this TikTok of this woman who went to this really fancy sushi place
Yeah.
in Japan, and didn't realize that it was super fancy, and ended up having a private chef, and there were no prices on the menu, and she was so wetting out her entire meal, wondering how much it was going to end up
God.
costing her. Ended up being like $200 for one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which she was like, thank God it was that cheap. She wasn't sure if it was going to
That
be
is
2000.
not bad at all.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's no prices on here, so.
Oh. Well, we'll have to do a little deep dive. I'll-
Yeah, for sure. What is it?
The at a 3-star Michelin
Oh,
restaurant, the average tasting menu meal costs about $360.
dude. Hell no. One thing? Oh my god. I don't even think I could ever spend that much at a
Dude.
normal restaurant with a group of people.
With a group
Well,
of people.
Maybe,
Come on.
maybe. Yeah.
Nowadays, with a group of people, it would
That's
take,
true.
6 people, and you would have that easy. But I don't think I've ever spent, maybe a little over 100 per person is the most I've spent.
Yeah, I think maybe the most I've spent for one person was maybe $50.
What? You've never spent more than
Yeah.
50?
No. Where would I go, Megan?
There's
Where
so
would I
many
go?
bougie places.
No, it's not worth it.
Once-
I don't eat meat, first of all. Meat is
Oh,
expensive.
Yeah.
So that is where that gets you. I don't eat meat, so I luck out, but
I mean, once you calculate in drinks, any sort of drink
Okay.
adds to it. And then I've been to a
still.
couple of bougie prefix menu places, and
Okay.
they add up really quick. Travis and I, for our anniversary, went to a place, and his meal alone was, I think for the steak, it was $42. So
Wow. Yeah. That's what we were at the wedding. We had dinner at the
Mhm.
venue, and I think it actually came out to 300 total
Yeah.
for the four of us, because I think the steak was like $60 alone. It was
Yeah.
a crazy amount.
meat adds up. Yeah, me
And
both.
luckily, the only vegetarian option was, I think, $20 for each.
That's
I
great.
was like, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, the venue, they were like, oh, since you're getting married, you get a dessert on the house. And it's like, oh, thank you. Thanks for that.
Thinks I am super poor right now, so
Please help us. I actually went to a Korean restaurant, Brett and I, with my aunt and uncle the other night. And it was a place where they actually cook the meat and stuff in front of
Ooh,
you.
fun.
It's really cool. And I think that total was 130
Mhm.
for everyone, which wasn't bad at all. But some of the menu prices for just the meat combos
Mm,
really high,
yeah,
but it was definitely higher quality. God damn,
yeah.
meat is expensive.
He is very expensive.
Yeah, as I was watching this movie, I was like, I don't think I've had actual French food, a meal.
Yeah,
Like
I
I've
don't.
had desserts and baked goods, but I've never had ratatouille
Right.
or whatever.
I I went for a week in Paris, and I think the most French I got, I had crepes and I had
Right, yeah.
baguettes and those sorts of
Hmm.
things, but I didn't have the bougie meals. I don't think I've had anything that was even close to what was served
No.
that
I'm like, is this just extra fancy or is this just French cuisine? Because I just don't know
no,
much about French food.
correct. Me neither. I knew a lot more about Indian food.
Yeah. And I feel like it's hard too with certain cultures because a lot of the food could be more meat heavy, so with French food, everything was just like meat. And of course they have non-meat, but I think it's hard to eat at certain restaurants that are just French food or something because or German. Oh, I'm probably just gonna eat bread or maybe a good soup.
Yeah. You
Uh,
have to check the menus out beforehand and see. You
right.
can't just
Right.
spontaneously go there because you're rolling the dice.
I know. We were looking at this Moroccan restaurant in
Ooh,
Philly,
Moroccan is
and
so good.
dude, it looked so cool, but it was specific menued items. So it was a 7-course thing, but you pick
What?
what you wanted, and there was no vegetarian option at all. And I'm like, oh,
No.
no. And then there's a live like belly dancer and all stuff. And I'm like, this is so freaking cool. Are you kidding me? And so I was really upset by that. But it's
Moroccan food
fine.
is so good. I wish
Yeah.
I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take pictures and send it to
Yeah,
you.
I will send you the restaurant name because
Thank
it
you.
looks really good.
Yeah.
And very reasonably priced.
I feel like they had, I mean, I don't know. It's when I went to Morocco because, I'm very cultured.
So cultured.
So, I mean, I'm really interesting. So I'm almost positive that the menus all feature various vegetarian dishes, but maybe this place is like, we don't abide
Yeah.
by non-meat eaters.
It was just, I think, because it's just a very specific menu.
Yeah.
So a lot of I'm sure an app or two would be vegetarian, but the actual entrees were all chicken and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was very upset.
I'm sorry, bud.
I don't know. I can maybe call them and be like, please,
I'm begging you.
please.
I feel like they would have, all they have to do is not, well, whatever. Just don't put the meat in it.
Yeah,
Just
it's
eat around it, Demi.
I know it's fine. I'll just grab the rice here. Don't mind me. Just eat around this
Yeah.
chicken. That looks really good. Dude, watching this movie, I'm like, I need Indian food right
Oh
now.
my god,
I am
know.
so hungry.
I literally, as I was watching it, I almost texted you and was like, "Let's set up a date to to go to get some." And
Yes. There's so many in the city and they're all good.
yeah,
Before me, Brett never had Indian. I don't think he had many cultured foods,
No.
but like,
Yeah.
you gotta try
Gotta.
different things, man.
that's to. I made Indian food once, and I did my best, but it was nuts. It was not. It was very. It was a white girl cooked Indian food. You know what I mean? It was sad.
I think you need special spices.
I mean,
think you
I
go to,
bought,
like,
yeah, I bought the special spices. I
Oh, really?
followed authentic recipes. I just didn't do a good job.
Something was missing.
Yeah,
The right pan,
probably that plus years of experience.
probably.
Definitely. I tried it a couple times. I'll try it again. I'll try it again.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I don't have any other points to
Okay. I have a couple.
bring up.
First
Okay.
one, I at first was interested because Hassan kept saying that he was a cook, not a chef. So I did a quick little search at the beginning of this to look up the difference.
Hmm.
And essentially a chef is a leader and is
Okay.
professionally skilled and has gone through, rigorous training and
Gotcha.
is going to be essentially the person in charge of everything. And a cook is
Hmm.
more of the person just following orders, cooking
Okay.
it to what is needed, getting what's necessary. So it's very similar, but the hierarchy is chef is higher than cook. So
Okay.
we
And
see
what about sous chef? Is that basically a cook as well? It's just a different name for
so
it, or is that
chef, there's the head chef, and sous chef is the second in command. So that is the
okay?
person who is essentially the assistant to the head chef. They are the next one, the next rung down on the ladder.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a pretty prestigious position.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I guess I forgot about that piece of it. Yeah, because Marguerite says she considers him a chef
Hmm.
rather than a cook, and I was just like, I guess in the French,
Yeah.
in France, it's a different thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I did not know
That's
that.
why I wanted to look that up because I thought it was interesting the distinction because to me
Yeah.
it was like, oh yeah, you're a chef, but I get now. Okay,
Right.
there's a little bit more to it than that. I am curious your thoughts on him as a romance lead.
I think he's really cute.
Hmm.
I think he's very cute.
He is.
Yeah, I don't know. He just had a very sweet boy
Yes,
thing about him.
yes, he's very cute. He doesn't give off a rugged vibe. There were
No.
there were a couple times when his hair was wet. I loved that he had the little curlies in the front,
Yeah.
and I thought that his cutest moment, the moment where I was like, "Oh, he's adorable," was when they were in the market together and the dad was like, "This is my son. This is my son. Raise your hand. Raise
Oh
your
yeah.
hand." And he like ducked his head and raised his hand, and I thought that was
Yeah.
super super cute. And
Well,
then,
he had some moves when they had their first kiss. They were in the woods and she's like, "Oh, you have something in your hair." And she picks a leaf
uh-huh.
out and he's like, "You have something on your face." And just touches her and kisses her. And I was like, "Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, Hassan, I see you.
right.
Got that Riz."
He he also there's a news thing about him where they're talking about how he's known as for his nightlife and amongst the
Yeah, I'm
ladies.
like,
Yes.
"Oh,
I'm
okay.
curious
All
what the book
right."
has about him that's a little
Yeah.
different. There was also a moment they were so close to having it be Bridgerton's style translucent shirt moment where he is soaked through from the rain, but he had a white tank top underneath. And I was like,
Oh, rude.
just
Just
you,
give us
you
a
were
little
this
something.
close.
Give us, give us.
Come
No, I
on.
think he's very handsome.
Yeah.
He gives that look where it's like he would treat me well. You
Yes.
know, he just is looks so kind
Yes.
and just a family man and just seems like a decent person. He doesn't look like he'd be a scumbag. And I
Correct.
like the rugged look, but sometimes you
It's good to have
can't
sweet
trust
boy.
men like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, when you have
Okay.
a sweet boy, you're like, he's a good guy.
Which also makes sense why all of them have such nice and open personalities where
Yeah.
I could see it being easier to pass by them on the street and be like, "Oh, you need help. Let me take you into my home and feed you."
Right.
Whereas,
Yeah.
I mean, part of it is probably our current cultural climate and living in America that I would be like, "Oh, a bunch of people on the side of the road.
Let
I'll
me
call
call
someone for
911 for
you."
you.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're living in the cutest French little town
Right.
and you see a group of people that, are not out of place, but like you're not used to seeing in your little town, it's like, oh, like let me help them. I don't
Right.
know who else is gonna stop.
Right. Who else is there
People
around?
seem yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of
Yeah.
racism.
Yes. Because
So
the mayor hinted at it and essentially
yeah.
told Mallory, you don't want to be associated with the racist because that's what's
Yeah.
coming across right now.
Yeah, he was like, "Listen, you gotta
Yeah.
fucking chill
Yeah.
because you do not want to be shown in that light, especially if you're trying to get a second Michelin star." So
Yeah. I loved the fact that the mayor loved eating so much and his wife kept giving him the
I
side
know.
eye. I was like, yo, let him eat, man. Come
I
on.
know he likes good food, and then
Right.
he had all that chicken at the restaurant.
Uh-huh.
He's like, "Oh, if there's any more, just bag it up. You can
Yes.
bag it up for me." I'm
Yes.
like, "My man, you got like 4 pieces of chicken on your
Yep.
plate
Yep.
already."
Yep.
But hey, I get it.
Yeah. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah, imagine like you're living in this little French town, and then an Indian family opens up a Indian restaurant. Like that
Kidding?
would be
I would be going
the
there
bomb.
every day.
Hell yeah.
I would be a
Hell yeah.
regular. I'd be like, give me the
Yeah.
huge.
They, yeah. Oh, there she is again.
Yep. Hey.
Usual table, my usual meal,
Yeah.
please and thank you.
Oh God, I would literally love. That sounds so amazing. To live in a little
Yeah.
French village with decent food around,
Right.
a variety. You're not just eating the same thing.
Right. Yeah. No, I would love to live in a little area where, I know the restaurants and they know
Yes.
me. And it's
Yes.
like, oh, hello again. I'm here.
Yeah. How
And it'd
cute.
be so cute. Yeah. Coffee shop has your drink ready for you
Right.
as you walk
Right.
in.
Listen, we can make it happen. Let's just create this life for ourselves.
Brett told me one time, this was like a while ago.
Yeah.
He said he would go to this, I think it was a coffee shop somewhere. I think it was like Wawa. I don't remember. He would always get the same drink. And the one day the person was like, "Oh, the usual?" And he was like, "Yeah." And in his mind, he's like, "Oh my God, it's never happened. Like,
Yeah.
this is so cool." And he said, "I got a drink I've never had in my life." I'm like, what? Did you just look like, I guess, another regular? My God, it was so funny.
That's
It was so
incredible.
funny. He told
That
me.
is the funniest thing. I love that. So he does look like every other
He does. He has a
know,
very, like,
generic face.
yeah.
I mean, not to
Just a
say
white
he's
guy.
yeah.
No, it's true though. A lot of people would send him like, "Oh, this is you," and it's just a bearded guy. He's
Yeah.
like any bearded white guy. They're like, "Oh, this is just Brett,"
Right.
and it's kind of true. Like
Yeah.
it's like you kind of look like them,
Right.
yeah. So,
Oh,
but yeah, I thought that was
that's
like so
amazing.
funny.
I love that. I actually did when I was working at a grocery store. It was right next to a Dunkin' Donuts, and
Yeah.
this is back when I drank Dunkin'. I don't drink Dunkin' anymore. I'm sorry, I can't get us sponsored by them. But
Yes,
this is back when I had no taste buds, and I went there right multiple times a day, right, to survive. And so I did have. They knew my usual, and it was a pretty powerful
Oh.
feeling. Yeah, it was
That's
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think the closest we can get is the Taco Bell here. That's probably the
Yeah.
best we can get, but
Yeah.
even then we stopped going as much. And the drive-through guy probably thinks we're dead because we would go, I think once a week we would go
Dang, girl.
just because it was easy
Yeah,
and it was
it
like down the
is.
street and it was cheap. And we were like, all right, we have to cut Taco Bell out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this poor drive-through guy probably misses us.
Yeah. They must have moved.
I guess they died.
Yeah.
Yeah, they must have moved away.
They're going to a
It's gonna be
different
in the-
Taco Bell.
Yeah. All right. I can keep going through my
Yeah.
review.
Yeah, unless you want me to, I can give my. I don't
Oh, if
have
you
a
have
lot.
anything
I
else.
don't have a lot. So this is trivia provided by IMDb. Take it with a grain of salt. But apparently, Aunt Purry, who played Papa, was called Papa by the cast, and he moved out of the hotel they were staying in so that he could have a place to cook for them, which I thought was
Aw.
amazing. I love that. The two restaurants facing each other was digitally created. Maison Mumbai actually faced a large field, and there was a building facade on the opposite side that they did to create
Okay.
the place. The novel is set in the 1990s, but the story was modernized for the movie. The family name Kadam translates to step in Hindi, and this is echoing the title of the movie because it's the first thing done in a long step life.
Pretty cool.
And then the last thing is that during an argument between Madame Mallory and Papa, he accuses her of sitting there like a queen, and Dame Helen Mirren played the title role in The Queen 2000.
Yeah.
Those are all the fun facts I
True.
found. I did research otherwise, but there wasn't a lot. I looked a little bit into the book, which was written by. Hold on, let me pull up the book.
It's funny, the first 10 minutes of the movie I'm watching, I'm like, I feel like this is based on a book. It just has that vibe, and I was right.
Right, girl. So Richard C. Murray was the writer.
Another comparison I made was that the movie felt like the movie Chocolat, or Chocolate
Oh,
without the E.
that's a good one.
And
Chocolat.
the director also directed that. So
Oh, well, that makes sense then. He wrote for Forbes about Paris stuff.
cool.
So essentially, he wrote for Forbes a lot about Paris.
Okay.
I think that when this movie first came out, I believe I saw it in theater with my dad, and my dad picked it out. And because my dad picked it out, I was skeptical because the main movie cover was pretty cheesy looking. I was like, this isn't gonna be good. And it was like, it's just this giant picture of Helen Mirren's face, and I was like, this is gonna be bad. It was I was like, any romance where the man wrote it, I don't trust it. And I was really pleasantly surprised when I saw the movie. I actually really enjoyed it. So I think that for me, going in to this movie with it being without high expectations, I found that I really, really enjoyed it. And so I'm wondering your thoughts, because I was looking at reviews and there's pretty mixed reviews. Some people loved it,
Really?
and some people said that they thought it was cliche, which maybe some of the through lines are cliche, but I don't think the story itself has been told before. I don't think that that's, a family leaving their life in India to set up shop in France doesn't feel like a story that's been told 100 times.
No.
And I think that it was well done. I think it's well done. The characters are well rounded. The relationships are very wholesome and work well together. And I think that I would genuinely pick up this book and read it. After watching that movie, I am curious to see how the book plays out differently.
Yeah, no, I'd be curious too. I did really enjoy it. I gave it a high rating, so I'll go through my other things real quick. But my most memorable scene was the omelet making scene. I thought that was just a very sweet moment, and it was really nice to see him kind of instruct Madame Mallory, who owns this 1-star Michelin restaurant, and her kind of giving him this look like, oh, more spice. What are these ingredients? So I really enjoy that scene. The scene that should be deleted, of course, is the second fire scene. I was going to say the mom lighting on fire, but the second one was just really upsetting, and I was just distraught.
Yeah, fair enough.
Love interest, Hassam, I would smash. I think he's solid pick. Side character, the dad, I said I'd pass because he's a little old for me, but I do think he's really cute.
Yeah,
he's really cute.
If I was older and he was in my age range, it would be.
He's a catch.
Yes, definitely. But for who I am now at this point in time, the age gap's a little big.
A little bit. How likely are to fall in love? I said 8, only because of the weird tension between Marguerite and Hassam. If I was trying to be a chef, and in both situations, I think there would be some sort of tension, but I think I would end up falling in love anyway.
It's tricky working with someone and being in love. That is, especially as chefs, could go.
Yeah.
I'm curious what the future held for them, but you have to have a strong baseline.
I mean, I guess if they're working together on the same restaurant and they just plan on doing more family business, maybe, but no idea. Would you recommend? I would recommend it because it's just a good movie. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, great.
I rated it a 4.6. I really, really like this movie.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I know. I really enjoy this movie. I think it had me laughing. It had me emotional. And it was just like you said, it was just like a unique story. And I like seeing more diverse stories like this. I feel like we don't get a lot of it. And it was just nice. So it was good. I was surprised.
Wow, I am so glad. You also, we're coming in hot after the last one where you weren't super pleased with it, and now,
Yeah, we made up for it.
Yeah,
so
good.
We're coming
I'm glad.
back.
That was pretty high. I feel like that's one of Your highest.
It's definitely one of the highest. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think other than that, it was 10 Things I Hate
Yes.
About You. I rated really
That's
high.
the only other one I can think of that weren't already in. So I was thinking about it today. I was like, I wonder if I'll ever get a 5-star from something that Demi has not. Or because the only 5 stars were Anastasia, which is obviously a childhood classic, and Pride and
Yeah.
Prejudice, which is like the best romance of all time.
Obviously. Yeah.
So I was like,
I'm sure I will give another 5-star.
I don't know, but this
I'm
was
sure
higher
I
than I
would.
thought you would give it.
Yeah? Okay.
I'm genuinely surprised.
I really liked it. So.
Okay.
And it didn't have a lot of romance, so I don't know if it would have been higher with more romance or lower with more romance. I guess it would have depended on how it was done. So.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah.
Great.
Are you ready for your movie?
I am. The fact that you're laughing is making me really nervous. Don't hurt my feelings.
So it's not gonna hurt your feelings, but I will give you a disclaimer.
Aww.
So the movie I'm giving you is a prequel movie. I was gonna give you the original movie, and I was like, I can't do that. Maybe we can watch it together one day, depending on how you like this movie. It's not scary. It's a slasher, but it's just very like, what is happening here?
Oh.
So the movie I'm giving you is called Pearl, and I feel like you've probably heard of it.
Is this the one with that girl?
Mia Goth.
Yeah.
You've definitely heard the soundbite of her saying, "I'm a star."
Oh,
I'm a
yes.
star.
I'm pretty sure you sent me a clip. It was her in Misery, and then maybe her. No, it might have been Pearl. It was different clips of Mia Goth as horror characters, and it was saying that like this is what Pisces are, and I was you sent it to me.
That is this movie. So the movie Pearl is a prequel to the movie X, and
just the letter
it's
X.
called X. Yeah.
Okay.
So it is about this girl named Pearl, obviously, and she wants to be a star. She lives on this farm. She's taking care of her helping her mom take care of her dad, who's just very sick, and she just wants to be a movie star, and she's a little not right in the head, we'll say that. Okay. And things escalate. So
oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I really enjoy this one, and I think it's a fun time, but it's not scary. I think it'll make you laugh. I don't know if you'll love it. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't think you would like The Shining, so I could be wrong about this.
Yeah, maybe.
It's newer, so it's definitely gonna have more realistic looking gore. I don't think it's, from what I remember, I don't think it's really, X is pretty gory, so that's why I was like, I probably won't give her that one. But yeah, but if you enjoy Pearl, we can both watch X together if you're curious, because it is a movie, it is a time.
Okay,
so.
we will see. We will see what I feel. Every week that I have to get the recommendation, I'm like, oh God, please be a good one. Please be a good one. Keep it weak for me.
Like I said, it's not a scary one, but it's a slasher, so
All right, I'll keep my.
I guess you can mentally
ready.
prepare. Yeah. I haven't seen a bit, so I don't remember like specifics. I remember certain scenes, and I'm like, okay, they're not too bad, but watch me forget a really awful scene. Right. But it's really not. It's really not bad.
Okay. Cool. Well, join us next week to find out how mentally traumatized I am.
It's no Barbarian, so
thank God. Thank God.
You haven't had
a fully recover.
Probably not. I don't think you've had a newer horror movie in a long while.
No.
Well,
no.
Bodies was newer, but
true.
I guess like a horror movie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you've been really gentle with me lately, which I appreciate. After my almost breakdown when you almost gave me, what was it? You almost gave me that one. Oh, Hereditary. And I had it.
Oh, yeah.
I almost.
You'll eventually get that, but.
Yeah, it's just, I made you rein it in a lot. I put a hard no. Sorry to all the listeners. I was like, I am not okay. I can't do it. Anyway, I can't wait to see what happens next. Thanks for listening. This is
Yeah,
how do you
thank
watch this?
and we'll see you guys. Actually, let me see real quick where it's playing, streaming. You can watch it on Amazon Prime.
Oh, right. I
There you
forgot that we
go.
were doing that. Ooh, we didn't do that last week.
I completely forgot.
Oh,
So
okay.
Amazon,
Okay.
thank you for providing us Pearl.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Amazon.
Thank you,
Jeff
Amazon.
Bezos somewhere is got a couple extra cha-chings in his
Yeah.
ear, but whatever.
It's whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, you can find us on social. How do you watch this? Or how do you watch? And how do you watch this at gmail.com? Yada yada, blah, blah, blah. Please like, review, subscribe, all that, stuff that you've heard before.
Yep.
All right. Bye.